Hello, students, and welcome to day one of a two-day review, or a unit on linear equations. So we're going to start by thoughtfully responding to a prompt about social media bullying, because the topic of today's do nows today is bullying. Our objective will be our first review in preparation for our Unit 4 test. Our essential question is, how can I put together and retain all this information I've learned on linear equations in Unit 4? So remember, we're synthesizing it and we want to remember it. And remember, this is a high school class, and we're thinking, how can I best prepare for a high school math exam? So we'll watch the video. We're going to work on problems 1 through 17 today. Tomorrow we'll work on the rest of the problems. For your exit ticket, I want you to really think carefully and honestly about what you're going to do well on this test. Okay, I want you to create a mini study plan to get you ready between now and Thursday. Our homework would be to make sure you study for the test, and tomorrow's our second day of review. So I want you to come in with any questions you have, and we'll go over those specific items tomorrow. The usual rules are in place. You know what they are. The more you follow them, the better your grade will be. So we have our unit test, 4 tests tomorrow. Friday, our spirit day today is sports team or university, and Friday it's Whaler Pride Day. We'll wear these colors, the yellow and the green. Preparing for our test. Also, starting tomorrow, we're going to have live classes on Wednesdays. So on Wednesdays, make sure your camera is working and that you have a whiteboard and a dry erase marker. So let's get started. And there's our Spirit Day flyer. And please take a minute and review that. So today's topic is bullying. And the question is it okay to repost or repeat something that you aren't quite sure is true? Okay. I think you guys are, you know about gossip in the context of conversations that you have with your friends, but, I think sometimes we let our manners slip, or we are not as mindful of our social morals when we're online, because it's just so easy to type in the chat. And I actually personally felt that way during that 7th period conversation we had last week. So I want you to think about this reposting or repeating things online when you don't have verified truthfulness to it. And also, even if you know something's true, maybe it's not for you to talk about. Maybe it's not for you to spread around. Maybe that's something that needs to stay with a few certain people. So think about that and respond to that, please. And here's our exit ticket. I want you to come up with a study plan. These are our New Year's celebration clocks. So let's begin with our review. So in these first couple of problems, always read the directions carefully, right? So the first topic is slope, and we're going to look at slope whether we're given a graph or whether we're given ordered pairs. So here we have number 1, we have a graph, and if we look at this, let's find a good highlighter. If we look at this line, we can see the slope of this line right here. I've highlighted it in green. So we're going to look for 2 points that fall directly on the grid marks. And I've got 1 point right here, and I've got another point. So here's 1 point, here's another point. So I start the point on the bottom, and I'm going to figure out, remember, it's rise over run. Maybe we need to write that down. Rise over run. So we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. And then we're going to the left 2 units. So we can either think of that as 5 over -2. Another way to think of that is we can start with the upper point and we go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's -5 if we go down, and +2, if we go right. So that would be We could also think of that as -5/2. Remember, it doesn't matter. Either way, it's the same slope. So that's the slope. Now, when we have a horizontal line, the slope is always 0. Okay, it's not undefined. It is defined, but it's defined as 0. So the slope is 0. But when we have a vertical line, that's where we have a 0 in the denominator, and we can call this undefined. Do not write 0. If you write 0, you'll have the wrong answer. A vertical line is an undefined slope. Okay, let's work on number 4. So we're going to use the slope formula. M equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Be very careful with negative numbers, and you've got a bunch of them in this problem. So we're going to consider this our x1, y1, and this is our x2, y2. So m equals -4 minus -1, which is +1, divided by -3 minus -12, which is +12. When we simplify that, we have -3/9, and we can simplify that to -1/3. And that's our slope. Number 5, again, using the slope formula. And we'll call this our x1, y1, and our x2, y2. -2 minus 7 over -11 minus -11, which is +11. And that would be -9 over 0. And here we've got a 0 in the denominator. So that is a vertical line. It is undefined. All right, let's move on to the next topic. The next topic is slope-intercept form versus standard form. So we are asked to write a linear equation with a slope of 1 and a y-intercept of 7. So here we want to think about slope-intercept form. We want to think about y equals mx plus b. So the y-intercept is the b value. The slope is 1. That will be an invisible one because the equation will be y equals x minus 7. Number 7, it says identify the slope and y-intercept of the equation y equals -3x. Well, remember, y equals mx plus b does not mean that there will always be a y-intercept. Some graphs, such as number 2 at the beginning, do not cross the x-axis, and some graphs do not cross the y-axis. So, and here's number 3 is a graph that does not cross the y-axis. So, this graph number 7 crosses the y-axis at y equals -3, but it does not cross the x-axis. So this would be similar. I think I could graph this for you. Actually, that's this one, y equals -3. Now, if we have x, -3x, then we've got something very different. We've got a variable that we can insert, and that would help our slope go from 0 Okay, let's work on number 7. So here we have y equals -3x. Now, if slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, and we don't see a b, we can think of this, we've got a plus or minus 0 there. Okay, so that doesn't mean it's not slope-intercept form. It's still slope-intercept form. What does that mean for our problem? That means that our b equals 0. But our slope is right there in front of us, -3. So let's look at number 8. It says identify the slope and y-intercept of the equation 2x plus 5y equals 20. That is in standard form. That's in the form ax plus by equals c. We need to put it in slope-intercept form. So we'll start by subtracting 2x from each side, because we need to identify y so we can have y equals mx plus b. So that would give us 5y equals -2x plus 20. Now we need to isolate y, so we'll divide both sides by 5. Remember, everything is divided by 5. All three terms. And that will give us y equals -2/5 x plus 4. And it says to identify the slope and the y-intercept. So let's answer the question. The slope, m, equals -2/5, and the y-intercept, or the b value, equals 4. And that's the answer. So, number 9, we're asked to identify the slope and y-intercept of the equation x minus 2y equals 2. This is, again, standard form. Ax, the a is an invisible 1, minus 2y, the b value is -2, and this equals c, the c value is 2. So we need to subtract x from both sides right off the top. So we have -2y equals -x plus 2. Now we need to divide all three terms by -2, which will give us y equals, now, this is an invisible 1 here. Let me change the color so I can show that to you. We have an invisible 1x. -1 divided by -2 is positive 1/2, meaning 1/2 x. And positive 2 divided by -2 is -1. So there's our equation. And if this problem had said write an equation, we would be done. But it says identify the slope and y-intercept. So the slope is the 1/2, and the y-intercept is the b value of -1. Now, in number 10 and 11, we're asked to write linear equations when we are given a graph. So we're going to be writing those equations in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. Remember, it can be plus or minus b, and our m value can be negative, but y needs to be positive. So we have to identify our slope, and we have to identify our b value. So let's start with slope. So we'll start at this lower point. We'll do rise over run. So we're going to go up. That's positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, up 7. And this is, we can see this is a positive slope. We're climbing a hill. And we go right 1, 2. So that's a slope of 7/2. Now, what is our y-intercept? Well, right here is our y-intercept. This is where this graph crosses the y-axis at -3. So what's the linear equation? Y equals 7/2x minus 3. Number 11, same question. We're asked to write a linear equation given the graph. This is a negative slope. We can see here. That's that sliding down a hill on our sled, so negative slope. And let's find that slope, let's do that rise over run. So we'll start at this point right here, and we go down 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's -4 over +1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll simplify that to -1. So our m is -1, and our b value is, now where are we crossing the y-axis? Well, here, this is where we cross the y-axis at 1, 2, 3. So our b value is 3. So our linear equation, y equals that -1 x, and that will become an invisible one, so it will be -x plus 3. Okay, let's move on to the next page. Number 12. Identify the equation of the line graphed below, prove by converting. Okay, we're going to need a little more space to solve this. So we have 4 choices, A, B, C, or D. And we want to convert these so that they are in slope-intercept form, and we know which one is the equation of the line. Well, what is the equation of the line? We have a point here, it's negative slope, and we have a point here. Actually, there's a point here that will work. I'll use that point. So we have a slope of -1, we go down 1. So we have -1 over +2. So -1/2 is the slope. Our y-intercept, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, is a +4. So we're looking for one of these equations that, when put in slope-intercept form, will be y equals -1/2 x plus 4. So that's what we're looking for, okay? Probably shouldn't have put a line around that. That's what we're looking for. I can highlight it. All right, so let's go to our scratch paper. We have, this is problem number 12. We have choice A. Choice A is 2x plus y equals 4. We'll put that in slope-intercept form by subtracting 2x from each side to give us y equals -2x plus 4. That's A. B, 2x minus y equals 4. These are in standard form. We're putting them in slope-intercept form. We subtract 2x from each side, and we have -y equals -2x plus 4, but we still need to divide by -1 to get rid of this negative sign. So divide all 3 terms by -1, and y equals -2 divided by -1 is +2x minus 4. Okay, let's do C. X plus 2y equals 8. And we will subtract x from both sides, because whatever we do to one side, we do to the other, which gives us 2y equals -x plus 8. We'll divide everything by 2, which will give us y equals negative, this is an invisible 1 here, -1/2 x plus 4. And let's do the last one, D, x minus 2y equals 8. We'll subtract x from each side. And then we have -2y equals -x plus 8. Divide everything by -2. Be careful of those negative signs. So that gives us y equals, we have an invisible 1 here, so -1 divided by -2 is +1/2 x plus 4. Now, what was it we needed this to be? We needed this to be y equals negative 1/2 x plus 4, and indeed, C is the choice that converted into that slope-intercept version. So C is our correct answer. Now we're going to go through the same process again for this next problem. We have a positive slope this time, and it looks like we have a positive slope of, let's find a point here, and we have a point here. So we will go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. M equals 5 over 1, 2, 3. 5 over 3. And we cross the y-axis right here at -1. So b equals -1. So we're looking for a slope-intercept conversion of y equals 5/3 x minus 1. So we need one of these to convert to that. So let's get our scrap paper. And this is number 13 that we're working on. And so we'll do all 4 choices. Choice A, 3x plus 5y equals 5. We'll subtract 3x from both sides to give us 5y equals -3x plus 5. We'll divide all 3 terms by 5 to get y equals -3/5 x plus 1. 5 divided by 5 is 1. Let's do B. B is 3x minus 5y equals 5. So we'll subtract 3x from each side. And we have -5y equals -3x plus 5. And we'll divide everything by 5. -5, excuse me, don't forget the negative sign. And that will give us y equals a negative divided by negative is a positive, so 3/5 x minus 5. Minus 1, excuse me. I meant to put a 1. Because positive 5 divided by -5 is -1. Okay, let's look at number C, which says 5x plus 3y equals 3. First thing we do is subtract 5x from each side. 3y equals -5x plus 3. Now we divide everything, all 3 terms, by 3 so that we can isolate that y. Y equals -5/3 x plus 1. See, all the equations that we're developing here are a little bit different. Now D says 5x minus 3y equals 3. We'll subtract 5x from each side. -3y equals -5x plus 3. We divide everything by -3. And then y equals negative divided by negative is positive, so positive 5/3 x minus 1. It's positive 3 divided by -3 is 1. So what was it we needed that to be? Positive 5/3 x minus 1. Let's check our work again. And that is the D value. So 5x minus 3y equals 3 converts to y equals 5/3 x minus 1, which means D is the correct choice. So now we're on number 14, and the topic is x and y intercepts. So remember, to find the x-intercept, set y to 0 and solve for x. To find the y-intercept, set x to 0 and solve for y. So first we'll do the x-intercept. So y equals 0 here. So that would be 4x minus 0 equals 4. So 4x equals 4. Divide both sides by 4. And x equals 1. That means the x-intercept is 1, 0. So x equals 1 is the intercept. Now we'll change our color for the y-intercept. Here's the y-intercept, where x equals 0. So we will put 4, we'll substitute 0 for x, minus y equals 4. We're solving for y this time. So negative y equals 4. We've got to divide by negative 1 because we have a negative y, right? So y, I didn't mean to put that line there. So y equals negative 4, and the y-intercept then is 0, negative 4. Now, the same thing for, you'll notice again, this is in standard form. So we're going to do the x-intercept first by setting y to 0 and solving for x. So the x-intercept, where y equals 0. So 12x minus 8 times 0. Well, if we multiply 8 times 0, it just goes away. So that's 12x equals 24. Divide both sides by 12, and x equals 2. So the point at which this graph crosses the x-axis is 2, 0. And let's find the y-intercept. I think I'll change my color for that. Get rid of that. So the y-intercept, where x equals 0. So this is 12 times 0 minus 8y equals 24. 12 times 0 goes away. That goes away. So now we divide both sides by negative 8 to isolate y, and y equals negative 3. And the point at which this graph crosses the y-axis is at the point 0, negative 3. Okay, let's do the last two I think we're going to do today are number 16 and number 17. And we just need to we're asked to draw the graph of y equals negative 2 and x equals 5. So let's find negative 2. Here's negative 2 on the y-axis. So the graph of y equals negative 2 looks like this. Don't forget your arrows on the end. It's a horizontal line. The graph of x equals anything is a vertical line. So we have to go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because x equals 5. And we'll draw our nice straight vertical line with arrows on the end. And that's it for today. Not very long today, but I wanted to leave time for you to have questions. And as you work these problems tonight and go back on any problems that you have in your notes, I want you to really think hard about any questions you have. Tomorrow we'll do the rest of this review. And please, again, have all your questions ready. Meanwhile, let's go back to our exit ticket. And I want you to come up with your Unit 4 test study plan. So thank you for your hard work. Great job. Keep practicing because, as you know, you'll be great.